Emergency episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you, sponsored by Carolina Ford Dealers. Got that out of the way. All right, Chris, can we officially say Bryce is a bust? He's benched. Can we say he's a bust now?
In the eyes of the Carolina Panthers, he's a bust, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. I just watched Sam Darnold have a really good game yesterday. I just saw Baker Mayfield have a really good game yesterday. Clearly, people leave the Carolina Panthers and end up becoming who they really are.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say Bryce Young is a bust overall, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
He's a bust to the Carolina Panthers for sure.
He absolutely 100% is, because guess what? That is where we are.
Yeah.
That is where we are right now, because like I just mentioned, Bryce Young is benched. And that's announced today by Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, Adam Schefter, ESPN. And you and I have said, Chris, if they make this decision,
it's over.
It's over. Like, it's done. This isn't like, hey, we're going to let the guy kind of, learn a little bit behind the vet, then we're kind of no. This is an organizational decision that he's done.
Yeah.
He's done. And this will go down as probably the worst trade in NFL history. For everything they gave up to get this guy, and then 18 starts and that's it? Like, that's bro. That's
Here's one thing though. Just
Tepper,
just to put this into perspective when it comes to Bryce. I did not know coming into the season that essentially Bryce Young had a 2-game leash, right? And the Panthers essentially didn't know that he had a 2-game leash.
Yeah.
But last year, again, and I'll keep saying this, last year you can't blame Bryce. He was a rookie. Everything around him was bad. Now that all of that has been addressed, we've said this constantly. The last 2 games, there is no excuse for Bryce Young.
None.
You
Zero.
played horribly.
Zero.
The line, I mean, if you look at the PFF grades, the line is holding you up, bro. The line is doing their job. Guys are getting open. Chuba Hubbard did his thing yesterday. Only had 10 carries, but still had 64 yards, so 6.4 yards per carry. So it was everybody around you is doing their job. Now you have to do your job. I didn't know that Bryce Young had a 2-game leash. And so now that we see that, now the Panthers really do have to look into the future of where are we going to go with this. This is now Bryce Young is over in Carolina.
He's done.
But I know that once he's done for the Carolina Panthers, he will be on another roster. I'm
sure.
He's not done from the NFL. Somebody will give him another shot.
First-round picks have like 9 lives.
And he might end up progressing and doing okay at another place. But here, it's over.
Cooked.
And now we have to really talk about this. This is less about Bryce and more so about why the Carolina Panthers as an institution, since David Tepper has been here, either can't hold on to their really good draft picks or their top draft picks who are supposed to be good end up being off the team within 3 to 4 years. And it looks like Bryce is only going to be here for 2.
I mean, gosh, not even 2 years. 2 games into his second year. That's really it. It's staggering, the fact that you brought in so much around him this year that he's just, after 2 games gone. Like you said, I don't think anyone realized the leash was 2 games. It's like, man, is he really that bad with all the investment? Like, when you put that much resources in to get a guy, you give him as many chances as possible. But he clearly showed. I don't know if Dave Canales, I don't know if those guys just kind of proved the point, like, hey, you know what? Like, this guy can't do it. Because you and I talked about in our episode of Panthers Playbook after the game yesterday, dude has 0 confidence, won't push the ball down the field, can't throw the ball downfield. And when he does, gets intercepted. It's just, and it's unfair. I will say this as well. It's unfair to the rest of the team if that guy is holding you back and you don't do something about it. It's unfair to the rest of your team. It's not fair to Deontay Johnson. It's not fair to Adam Thielen. It's not fair to Chuba Hubbard. It's not fair to Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. It's not fair to any of those guys if the quarterback stinks, which is what Bryce Young was. Like, it's not fair to those guys if you don't do something about it. If Bryce Young can't turn it around, then it's on the coaches to make that decision. And, I will say this. Kudos on the cojones for Canales to make this decision after just 2 games.
Yeah.
Assuming it's his call. That David Tepper
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, I don't even know if this is Canales' call or not, or maybe this is Dan Morgan's call. Who knows?
But here's the thing. If Tepper's the one making the call, then Tepper is openly admitting he made a mistake, because that was Tepper's guy. Bryce Young was Tepper's guy. If Tepper's the one making this call, Tepper's openly admitting that he made a mistake.
Think about this. Because of his love for Bryce Young, remember what was said last year. Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer both agreed that David Tepper and his guys saw Bryce Young like 3-4 years ago and tabbed him. If we have a shot at this guy, we are going to get that guy. Before he even started a game at Alabama, their scouts were at Alabama and they were watching. They were like, this guy is going to be something. We need to keep tabs on him. So
and then he won a Heisman Trophy, then
won a Heisman Trophy, all that. And so the thing with this, if you think about that, David Tepper's insistence on Bryce Young got Frank Reich fired, right? Do you think Frank Reich could coach in the NFL? I sure do. Do I think that he'd be a top-end coach? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I do think that you needed last year, if you weren't going to go with Steve Wilks, that's another thing. If you weren't going to go with Steve Wilks, I think you needed somebody who had an offensive line with experience, and that checked out with Frank Reich. Now, did you surround Frank Reich with the quarterback that he's used to working with, that he prefers to work with the staff that he prefers to work with? No, you didn't. Nope. And so things didn't go right. You had to fire Reich. It looks like it's Reich's fault, but there is an organizational problem right now, and it all starts and ends with David Tepper. Me and you were talking about this yesterday, but like honestly, a lot of it started with his insistence to move on from Teddy Bridgewater after 1 year. And if he hadn't done that, look at all the domino effect of all the things that happened after that. And now you start to trade draft picks and all that stuff after that.
That's even before that, the way he got rid of Cam.
Yes. I mean, shoot. I mean, Cam could have and should have probably stayed in a Carolina Panthers jersey. But here's one thing that I took from yesterday. When we were in that locker room, I had a chance to speak with Adam Thielen, Robert Hunt. You spoke to the same guys as well.
Yep.
You were doing your thing for the podcast. I was doing my thing for WRL and the podcast. And the guys all said the right thing. They said the politically correct things. Bryce is our guy. But if you read between the lines, Thielen knew it was time for a change because he didn't say Bryce Young is the guy that's going to take us to wins. He's going to be here. He says, I like Bryce. He works hard. He tries to get us going. All that saying is the guy hasn't given up.
That's the thing. Like,
he didn't say this is the guy that's going to make us win games. And that's the difference with that.
I'm 100% with you. It's the frustration, the fact that the frustration, as Adam Thielen, when you were talking to him, said boiled over, and it was just game number 2. It's like alarms started going off. The fact that it was third quarter and we saw Thielen frustrated on the sideline, Deontay Johnson not even going to talk to Bryce Young on the sideline. It's like, no, they have zero faith in number 9. Zero faith in number 9. Even talked to Robert Hunt. He's just kind of like, I ain't got no answers. I kind of got the impression that it's just like, yes, something's got to change, in terms of who's out there. The confidence in Bryce is gone, in himself. And clearly the confidence from the rest of the team just ain't there. It's just not there anymore. And you know what? Here we are, Chris. And maybe we'll actually finally get a chance to evaluate what the offense actually looks like.
Well, here's the thing that's going to be the problem for the Carolina Panthers now moving forward. Is because of your decisions at quarterback that have plagued you since you decided to get rid of Cam Newton, right? And just the litany of quarterbacks you've gone through since then. Now, instead of looking at a first-round pass rusher in 2025 in the NFL draft, which you need for this team, you're going back and you're going to have to choose between Quinn Ewers, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whomever else ends up getting those first-round grades for next year's NFL draft. And now you're going to be even further behind as your defense continues to get older. And remember, coming into this year, a lot of the new guys signed very short contracts.
They did.
So some of those guys could be done after this year. There's a problem with the Carolina Panthers. And even though Bryce Young is going to be the face of the problem, he's not the symptom of the problem.
Oh, let's call it what Bryce is. He's the poster child of David Tepper's decisions. Bryce 100%. Young is the poster child of David 100%. Tepper's decisions. That's it. You look at Bryce Young, like there's all the years of Tepper and his decision-making right there. He's the poster child of that. And guess what? The first year of this rebuild just got reset. We're already resetting the reset of the reset of the rebuild.
It's crazy. And here's the part. I'd rather the Carolina Panthers be honest with us and come into next year and say, you know what, guys? We are rebuilding. Use the word. Just come out and say it. Say my name. Say my name. You got to come out and say it. You know what I'm saying? This is a rebuild. We're not trying to sneak into the playoffs because the NFC South is supposed to be bad. Look at the Saints right now. They are balling. Okay. They might be the best team in the league. Okay. So that is out the window. We are rebuilding at this point, and we are not going to be good for, again, another 2 to 3 years. We keep pushing it back. And that's okay to say that, but we need to actually say that. And that's what I'll be looking for from Dan Morgan and Dave Canales in the future.
Panthers Playbook brought to you sponsored by Carolina Ford Dealers. Maybe they need a Ford F-150 on their team. Guess where Carolina Ford Dealers can get it for you. And leave your thoughts in the comment section. Chris, thanks for jumping on here on short notice, and thank you for tuning in on short notice. Again, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Things just got more interesting moving on this season.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have a lot.
Real interesting.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about on Thursday.
That's why you got to subscribe. Get Thursday's episode. Y'all be good.